starring in a, oh, what a film this is. You should go see this film. As a matter of fact, you should go see it now. It's called Birdman. It's in theaters, just waiting for you. Here's Edward Norton, ladies and gentlemen.
Yeah, well, no, we're good. You're blue, I'm gray. I'm good. Great.
How you doing?
Great.
Hey, ho! There you go. Welcome to the program.
I think that's all about the virus joke.
No. Listen, whenever your name comes up, I think of two things. One, the great movie Rounders, tremendous film.
Thank you.
And I just now heard, which I don't believe, possibility of a second Rounders. I don't know how you make a second Rounders. Is there a possibility of it?
I think there is a possibility of it. I think, yeah, we couldn't have had more fun making that movie. That was one of the best gangs of people ever.
Yeah.
And we did it right on the cusp of what became the kind of the resurgence of the poker phenomenon. And I think, you know, Matt and I talked later, we should have negotiated like a 5%, you know, rake on every poker pot that was played after that, because then we could have made the film with our money.
Yeah. But the movie actually created a new enthusiasm for the card game, didn't it?
I think it did. I think it was a part of it,
yeah,
for sure. And certainly, some guys like Chris Moneymaker, when he won the World Series, said he started playing poker because he saw the movie. And I literally stopped going to Vegas for many years because so many people were screaming worm.
Oh yeah,
they would say worm, you know.
Yeah, that happens to me, and I wasn't even in the movie.
It's
the oddest thing, but never mind.
You mean they scream worm?
They scream worm. There he is. Get him. It's worm.
That has to do with a number of other things.
Other things, yeah, let's don't get into them. And the other thing that we always talk about when your name comes up is the fact that you didn't live in my building. Right? You didn't live in my building.
Never.
Yeah, I just wanted to clarify that.
It wasn't me.
No, I know it wasn't you, but we always talk about that.
Yeah. We're both young enough that it could still happen.
All right. I'll see if maybe there's a vacancy.
Yeah. You're going to have free time on your hands.
I will,
you can
sure.
talk
I
to
can
the board
show you.
for me.
I can show you apartments.
Yeah.
Now, how about this? You had a relationship with Mike Nichols, who passed away, to my knowledge, unexpectedly within the last 12 hours or so.
I'm glad you mentioned that, just because, you know, I think it's important to acknowledge people like Mike. He was, you know, for people in our industries, comedy, television, films, and theater, he was one of the absolute giants, not just an innovator and incredible talent, but he really was one of those people who every great actor and director and writer you've ever known at some point went to Mike for advice, and they always got it, and it was always generous. And I met him when I was filming my first film, Primal Fear, in the Paramount lot, and Mike was filming the Birdcage next door, and I was such a fan. You know, I mean, he was really one of the gods for people of my generation, and I went over and got to meet him. And I had never done anything. He had no idea who I was, and he was so encouraging and engaging and generous, and they really they broke the mold on guys like Mike. And I think sometimes, you know, people don't know about people like Mike. You know, younger people don't know about the things someone like that did, but he changed everything.
Influence. A seminal influence. And Paul and I probably would have the same memories of Nichols and May, and they would appear routinely right here in this theater on the Ed Sullivan Show. And in those days, I was accustomed to comedy being a guy coming out and telling jokes. And here were these two people coming out doing little vignettes, little scenes that were hilarious. And it was my first introduction to what later I think became known as improvisational comedy.
They changed comedy. Then he directed Who's Afraid of Virginia Woolf and The Graduate and Carnal Knowledge and a million great plays. And the volume of the great things he did is staggering. But he also really was a great intellect. I mean, if Mike Nichols was eating lunch alone in Hollywood, that was the smartest table in Hollywood. Mm-hmm. And if anybody else, I think if anyone else sat down with him, if anyone else sat with Mike, the IQ at the table got lower. Yeah.
But you're right. The number of careers that he touched, influenced, and also put them at their proper level. I think he was responsible for Whoopi Goldberg with her one-woman show, mm-hmm. and from that she became an enormous star. I think there's endless stories like that.
Yeah, he touched an enormous number of us in all these fields, and I think just we have to celebrate him. He's really one of the giants.
Let's nicely said, Ed. Now we had Michael Keaton on the program not so long ago talking about Birdman, and the thing that I think I didn't mention or failed to mention about the film, one gets the impression that it's occurring in real time because of the seemingly non-stop scenes. There don't seem to be many edits from scene to scene in the film.
No, there are none, in the sense that there are no visible cuts in the film. It moves in a very dreamlike way, and in that sense, it's kind of unlike anything. I mean, people come and they talk about films they're in, but I have to say it's a really unique piece of cinema that these guys have created. And
doing it this way, does it make your job more difficult?
You know, I don't think so. It changes it. You spend an entire day to get one enormous unbroken piece with many scenes tailing on after the other. But I enjoyed that. I mean, there's a certain vanity in it. You know, it's the actor. They say go, and they can't mess with you for 15 minutes. But I also think that it's very liberating. I found it to be a very exciting way to work.
It put a lot of pressure on rehearsal. Everything has to be blocked and choreographed.
Yeah.
And if you're in a particularly long scene, you don't want to be the guy near the end of the scene to flub your line, obviously.
No, but you know, the real pleasure of it is not sort of getting through it without screwing up. It's getting, you know, if you're my age, you grew up folding down the HBO guide to see when Night Shift was on. You know, I mean, Michael was like, you know, there was no one like him, and so for me, there were two challenges. One, he just makes me laugh.
Yeah.
He makes me laugh. And it didn't even have to be a funny scene. He throws a look.
Yes.
He pulls a face better than anybody. And I found it very hard.
I can imagine
to not laugh when working with him, even when we were supposed to be angry at each other and all these things. But what's incredible about someone like him is he'll improvise even within the sort of giant risk of having gone 15 minutes without a break, and that was a unique pleasure.
Well, I would think it would be. I've known Michael a long time, and I think one of the great things about going to work every day would be knowing that you're working with Keaton, because he's pretty entertaining, irrespective of what's going on.
There's a scene in the film where my character, where we all play actors putting on a Broadway play. It's a very funny film. But there's a scene where my actor, who is a very method performer, gets actually aroused on stage in some very tight underwear. Yeah. And it leaves very little to the imagination. And Michael, we lost at least 6 or 7 takes because I couldn't stop laughing at the face he kept pulling. He pulled, every one of his reactions was different. I've never enjoyed that kind of attention from a man as much as I did.
It's a big man to admit it. Well, this is a wonderful film. There's many reasons to like this film. Chief among them is you're not going to see other films like this. It is unique. The acting performances are lovely. And it's a a bit of fantasy, and the direction is incredible. We have a clip here. Edward, what is it going to be?
Well, Michael and I have kind of.
Is it the boner scene?
No. No.
What did he say?
No, if you come back like Larry King on an online show, we can show that one. But no, this is two actors arguing on the street about what happened on stage that night, and
it's, by the way, you and Keaton, a good combination, and you kind of want to see more. You should do more films together. Here it is, Birdman, ladies and gentlemen, it's in theaters now.
Hey, they don't know you, your work, man. They know the guy from the bird suit who goes and tells coy, slightly vomitous stories on Letterman.
Well, I'm sorry if I'm popular, Mike. You know,
I don't give a popular. Popularity is the slutty little cousin of prestige, my friend.
okay, I don't even know what that means. So, okay.
It means my reputation is riding on this, and that's worth a lot. Exactly. You, yes. If this doesn't work out for you, you off back to your studio pals and dive back into that cultural genocide you guys are perpetrating. You know, a douchebag's born every minute. That was P.T. Barnum's premise when he invented the circus, and nothing much has changed. And you guys know that if you crank out any toxic piece of crap, people will line up and pay to see it. But long after you're gone, I'm going to be on that stage, earning my living, bearing my soul, wrestling with complex human emotions. Right.
Yeah, there you go. I'm telling you.
that was. I want to say. The reference to this show was that was my little.
God bless you.
That was my improvisation.
Thank you. That was nice of you to mention me, and I think that comes from the time you weren't living in my building, right?
It could be.
Yeah, I think so. But you know, just seeing it again makes me want to go see it again, and it's that kind of movie. There's a million different things to enjoy about it, and you won't get them all the first time. Just keep going. Just stay in the theater until they ask you to leave.
It gets better the second time.
That's
I think.
right. Edward Norton, congratulations.
Thank
Ed,
you.
thank you very much for
Thanks
being
for the
here.
time.
We'll be right back with tonight's Top 10, ladies and gentlemen.